All right, before we get started on creating hatches, I just wanted to make sure you understand what hatches are. Hatches are a series of lines, a window that opens up that allows us to manage the line types, the line lengths, whether they have spaces between them or not, and we can create hatches. The nice thing about hatches is that they conform to whatever size object we create. Now this lattice work right here, this is a hatch. This is a hatch that you will actually draw this hatch. Notice that what I've done here is I've drawn a rectangle, or excuse me, in this case well, I guess it's a polygon. It's not really a triangle because it comes flat across here, and I filled it with the hatch. So that's one example of a hatch. Let me give you another example of a hatch. Let's go to the plan view. This is the one we're actually going to do today, and that's this tile right here. It's an 8-inch tile. This is a very simple little hatch to put together. Another hatch that I put together is this soil over here on our section. That's a hatch that I created. Now Vectorworks comes with hatches that are default hatches, and if you go up here, there's hatch. You can see in our attributes palette here is the hatch, and then here are the ones that I've created. These are custom ones, and then down here are the default hatches that come with Vectorworks. So that's what they are. They automate things for you. The nice thing about them is that they conform to whatever size object you create to put them in. For example, if I draw something that looks like this crazy looking thing, and I put a hatch in there, the hatch will conform to that size. And if I change it, if I change the size, it will conform to it. It's really a nice thing to know how to do. It's something you don't do that often, but you'll recognize times when you'll go, you know, it would really be easier for me just drawing this thing every time, to draw it once as a hatch, and then I've got it forever. Okay, well, let's get started on that. I'll show you how to draw one. All right, well, we have our walls drawn, and now I want to show you how to put in this tile pattern, which I'm calling a hatch. So let's get to Vectorworks here. Let me close this down and get to our Vectorworks drawing. There it is right here. All right, now hatches. Boy, this is they can be very confusing when you try to create them. You need to spend a little bit of time with it. We're going to do a very simple one here, so this one should be easy for us to do. But I've done things like octagonal tiles, where they have, you have an octagon tile and you have a little square tile on each of the angled segments of the octagon that connects up to the next octagon. That was a real challenge to draw. I think I had over 10 levels. You draw each segment on a level, and I had to figure the math out, and there was a lot of work to get that done. But the nice thing about hatches is that once they're done, they're done. You don't have to draw them again. The other thing that's really nice about them is that they will conform to any shape that you can draw. So if you draw a real goofy looking polygon with angled lines and all kinds of stuff going on, put a hatch in it, it's going to conform right to that. And if you change the size, it's going to change the size. The hatch again is going to conform to it. It won't change the size of the hatch, but it'll change to the boundaries that you give it. So let me show you how to do hatches. We're going to go to the resource palette, which is Command R for resource. and this is the resource browser. This guy can be kind of confusing, but hopefully we can make this work for you. Let's start up at the top here, and let me just give you a little tutorial just on the resource browser itself. This is what it looks like. If we, next to file here, we have a little drop down arrow. We can bring in resources from other drawings into the current drawing. And what I've always done is I've kept a file that I call my resource, Spencer's Resource Library. And I try to keep all of my resources in that library, because if you think about it, after you start doing this a lot, and you've drawn hundreds of drawings, you may have done, you may have drawn a hatch, or you may have drawn a symbol or something that you want to use again and you don't remember where you put it. So I always put everything in Spencer's Resource Library, and then that way I can always find it, I can open it, and bring it into the existing drawing that I'm in. And we're going to talk about symbols in the next week. I think it is. I should never say next week. Next time, we'll talk about symbols and how to create them and why you would want to and so forth. But all of these things you can keep in your symbols library. You can create a symbols library. You can create a resource library. So we don't need to worry about that right now. I just kind of wanted to give you an overview of that. The number of resources and things that you can bring into these drawings is just staggering. If you want to bring a Picasso painting into your drawing, if you can find a JPEG of it, you can just bring it right into your interior elevation, and there it is. Okay, so we've got some choices here. We won't go into that. Now this right here, these are all resources that I have brought in. Notice they're under favorites. They are resources that I've brought in. Now, let me show you where I have brought those in from. Let's go back here. Here's my folder. I'm going to say add new favorite files. Now, notice that I am in Vectorworks 2013. So I'm in my program files. So if you're on a Windows machine, you'll go to your program files. If you're an Apple user, you'll go to your applications, find Vectorworks 2013, go to libraries, and then go to objects. In this case, let me go to libraries so I can show you. Here's all of the things that come with Vectorworks in the library. So you've got some textures, you have miscellaneous, this entourage, this is objects, people, things like that, cars, landscaping, plants, and so forth. Here, there's entertainment stuff, there's building services. This is probably one that we use a lot. Building architecture and interior, this is another one that we use a lot. So if I click on this, double click on it, I can bring in cabinets, I can bring in handrails, I can bring in range hoods. You can see that there is just a ton of stuff here that you can bring into your drawing. And if I wanted to bring in, let's say, well, here's the windows I was talking about earlier. We've got Velux skylights. We have Marvin windows. We have Lowen windows. I'm not sure what those are. I've never used that brand. Geldwin, we all have heard of that. We've got three major brands. I used to have Anderson. I don't see the Anderson windows here anymore. Doors, we have different kinds of doors that we can bring in. We can bring in furniture. But if I just grab one of these, let me just grab a random one here. We'll bring in Fixtures Imperial, meaning that it's in inches rather than metric, and hit open. Now it has brought that into my resources here, and it's here somewhere. and you can see these are hatches that I've created, and you will be creating these as well. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to create a hatch, but I just wanted to show you a little bit about this guy. The top level that's where we are. We're in BCT 105 final project. That's what I've named my file. And this shows you all of the things that I've brought in here. And actually, this is where I just brought in, I don't even remember what it was that I brought in now. Fixtures, was that it? Yeah, Fixtures Imperial. There they are. And there you can see all of them, toilets. And one other thing I want to point out to you is that this viewing method that we have here doesn't tell you a whole lot. What we can do is we can come over here and go, let's see, where is it? Just right click and go view as thumbnail. Now it'll bring everything in as a thumbnail so you can actually see what it is. There's all of those toilet stalls. I guess that's what I brought in. Okay, so that's one thing that's kind of troubling. Sometimes you look at this and you're not sure exactly, what these things are. If you'll just right click and go to view as thumbnails, it'll give you a picture of it. All right, so now I'm going to show you how to create a hatch. If we come down here to resources and we go to new resource, we get this menu, and there's all of these different kinds of resources that we can create. And some of these we will do. Some of them we won't do in this class. We may do them in the 3D class, but right now we want to do a hatch. We want to draw a hatch. All right. Now when we bring that up, we get this daunting looking screen here. Let's call this 8-inch floor tile. Okay. And the first thing we want to do is we want to save it into make the units world units. And what that means is that any scale that, let's say we're drawing this in 1/4 inch scale right now. If we wanted to bring this hatch into a drawing that was a 3/4 inch scale, or 1 inch equals 1 foot, by setting it at world, it will conform to that scale. So I always do that. If you set it to page, it's only gonna work for the whatever scale you were set on that sheet that you were working on, or that layer that you were working on. Okay. I'm going to come over and change the line weight to 0.15. And let's take a look at this this array of numbers over here. The start is this point right here. That is the starting point. And right now it's at 0, 0, and we're using a polar mode of looking at this. Here's polar. Here is rectangular. This is using Cartesian coordinates, X and Y. So right now, if we had a Y-axis, it would be right there, going right through the middle, and if we had an X-axis, it'd be going right through here. The repeat is this distance this distance of 5 foot 7.882 inches is the distance from the center to this point right here. Now in our case, it doesn't matter what that is, but later on when we do our lattice, it will matter. So I'm just going to leave that. I don't want you to worry about that too much right now. If I go to notice if I go to Cartesian coordinates, it's saying that it's over 4 feet and it's up 4 feet. And then this line length, if we do this, we come back over here to polar, it's giving us the hypotenuse of that line. All right, now the dash factor, again, we don't need to worry about the dash factor here, but let me put in a dash factor of 0.5 and watch what happens. So what it did was it took that 5 foot 7.882 inch line, and it created half of it as a line and half of it as a space. If I'd set it at 0.25, remember it says dash factor, so it's actually telling you what the size of the dash is. So the dash is 0.25 and the space is 0.75. I know this doesn't make a whole lot of sense yet, but it will later on. And then the offset is this distance right here. So if I wanted to change this, you can see the numbers moving there. Okay. All right. So let's all do this together. Let's the start, we don't need to do anything there. Let's change the angle to 0 degrees. All right, now that puts the lines horizontal, which is what we want for our tile. But I want you to notice here that for the offset, in order, let's say we want this to be an 8-inch tile, and we want this distance to be 8 inches. Right now, if we set this at 8 inches, it's going to be the distance from here to here. It's going to be the diagonal. Notice the angle is negative 43 degrees. So let's change that to negative 90. Okay, so we'll put in negative 90. And that lines it up right below it. Now, sometimes, you'll be creating something that's too large or too small, and you'll need to zoom. We're zoomed at 200%, but I can zoom in, or zoom out actually. I can zoom in. That's probably about right there. Okay, so now we have our horizontal lines of our tile. All right, so now let's add a new level. Let's add a level right down here, add level, and there it is. Okay. Now, what we want to do is we want to rotate this so that it's running vertically up and down the page. We don't have to change, we don't have to do anything with the dash factor. The offset is 8 inches and it's negative 90. That's good. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put in. Now here's just a little trick for you. If I put 90 degrees in here so that I get this vertical, it's not going to let me because I have negative 90 down here, because it's saying, okay, you can't have this line being 90 degrees and then the other lines are running vertical and then have this at negative 90 as well. You can't do that. So I'm going to put this at 89 degrees. I'm just going to sort of fake it out. I'm going to put in 89 degrees. Turns black. And then I'm going to change this to 0 degrees so that they're going 8 inches. Aha, you see? And now I'll put 90 back in here. I know there's got to be an easier way to do that, but that's always a struggle for me. I do so little of these hatches that I've just never really figured out how to do that in an easier manner. But there we go. There's our hatch. If you want to give it a fill, you can give it a color. Yikes. That's some wild floor tile. Give it some sort of color if you like. I'll do that. That's our background fill. And again, don't hit return, hit OK. All right. And now, if you look in your resource palette right here, we have the 8-inch tile. There's the 6-inch hexagonal tile I was telling you about right there. Here's our 8-inch floor tile right here. All right, so the next thing we need to do is we need to give that floor tile some boundaries. If we put it in there now, it's not going to know what the boundaries are. So let's do this. We'll go to our drawing. The floor tile is going to be in the bathroom and in the kitchen. So I'm going to show you how to use the polygon tools, how I'm going to do this. I'm just going to draw a polygon from there to there. I'm just going to come all the way through, click over here, come all the way through here, come up here and get my reference line. Actually, maybe I want it to come all the way out. And so I'll just come out to here, come across and back and end point. All right, now because I'm on the class of the wall class objects, it's going to a black fill. But now what I can do is simply go up here and say, no, I want a hatch. And I want that new hatch that I just created, which I called 8-inch floor tile. There we go, and there's my floor tile. And again, if I decide to change the boundaries of this floor tile, if I move this over, it conforms to it. So that's the way you draw a hatch. And if you will send it to the back and hit Command B for back, or you can come up here and go to Modify, Send. Here, let me click on it, get it selected. There we go. If you go to Modify, Send to back, that'll allow this wall, if you notice before, if I bring it forward, the wall and the door goes away. But if I send to back, they come back. All right, so that's hatches. That's our first installment of hatches. Let's go back just real quickly here and take a look at our drawing. Now we have some symbols to bring in. I'll tell you how I did this. I had a hard time finding a tub to fit in that 5-foot 6-inch space in my resource browser. So there's all kinds of tubs in there that you can use. I ended up just drawing this one myself and just drew a rectangle that fit in there, and then an oval like that. A couple other little hints for you. In the resource palette, if you will go to, again, if you go to File, Add New Favorite Files, come over here to, again, to your either applications if you're a Mac user, or your program files if you're a Windows user. Find your Vectorworks 13, find the library, and then let me go back, actually, libraries, there it is, there's your libraries. Go to the building, let's see what building services, building services is going to give you your toilets and bidets and things like that, and you can just bring these in to your resource palette and then bring them into the drawing. Let me just show you. Let's do a sanitary fixtures. Let's just go ahead and bring those in. Okay, so here's sanitary fixtures. And I'm just going to scroll down and find them down here. Okay, here they are. So for example, if I had drawn a vanity, and all you have to do to draw your vanity, we're going to keep this real simple, is draw a rectangle here. And I don't want it to be green, I want it to be white. And then bring your lavatory, just click on it and just bring it into your drawing. And just OK. There it is. It's rotated the wrong way, so you can hit Control L. Let me get it selected. There we go. And you can, bring it over here in place. Okay. So again, I don't have this wall drawn in the right place, and so things are not quite aligned perfectly here. So you should have plenty of room there. Then you can come over and you can bring in a toilet. Let's see if we've got some. Here's a toilet, a two-piece, and that's going to go right here. Now notice that it has an insertion point, so it'll insert it at the wall. Click, and there it is. There's your toilet. And again, with the tub, I just drew in a 5'6" rectangle, and then I put an oval in there. And once you sort of get it in place, then you can change the size of it, make it look a little bit more realistic. Nudge it around a little bit. There it is. And I wanted to have a solid line. There we go. Okay. So that's what you're going to do. Oh, I know one other thing. You could bring in a refrigerator. The problem you're going to have with the refrigerator is you're not going to find one. You're not going to find one that's going to fit in here. This is really not realistic, unfortunately, the way this little cabin is laid out. So what I did was I just drew, hang on a second here, let me get rid of this green fill. There we go. I just drew a rectangle that would represent the refrigerator. I drew another rectangle that would represent the door, and then made it maybe a little bit smaller. Made it 2 inches in depth instead of 4 there. There we go. And then I just took up the line tool, and let me zoom in. The line tool came in, drew a line out, and drew another line here, and made a handle basically. And of course I have no, there we go. No, I don't have my line has no fill on it. Anyway, you can just make yourself a little handle, and probably give it a 0.5 line weight. Oop, that's too big. Let's make it 0.3. There you go. And then we'll draw another one here. And give it a solid line weight. There we go. And that was what, 0.3? There we go. Okay. And when I did the this area here, I did bring in a kitchen sink from the resource library. I drew this countertop just as a rectangle, just made sure it was at least 25 inches in depth. Made these 25. I just drew one big rectangle here, and then I drew a rectangle here, drew these little circles in to make it look like a stove. For 2D drawings you can do this. For 3D stuff you can't do that, because they're not going to come out as 3D objects. So, but for our purposes, that's really all you need to do. And I just noticed that My sink is hidden, obscured here. Let's see. Send to back, send forward. Let's try sending this forward. I may just not even have a sink in here. Anyway, I'll fix that. So there you go. What I'd like you to do is get your windows and doors in place, get your plumbing fixtures in place, your countertops, your sink and stove, and get this dash line put in. All right, one last thing. I want to show you how to draw this ship's ladder. Now, it's called a ship's ladder because it's not really a staircase. It's if you saw it in a sectional view or an elevation view, the steps would only be maybe 4 inches in depth, and they go up very steeply. So I made it 3 foot 3 inches deep, and so here's how I drew that. Let me zoom in, and I'll just draw it right next to it. So I had this dash line put in already. This was already here. And then I drew a line that was 3 feet in length. And let's see, right now I'm kind of messing up here because there we go. Now it's solid, no fill. Let me get in here and just change this right now. Solid. There we go. Okay. So I've drawn this line, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it, Command M, and I'm going to move it negative 3 foot 3 inches. Okay, so there it is, and I'm going to make it 0.5. Too much, 0.3. Okay, there we go. Now, then I drew another line here, and again I need to change the thickness of the line. Okay. Then I used a really cool tool, which is the offset tool. We're going to use this when we do our elevation, but let me show you right now. This is it, right down here. It's called the offset tool. And before I do that, let me do one thing. I just want to double check here and see what size I made these treads. They're 3 inches. Okay, that's so. And they actually may be larger than that, but the tread above obscures part of it. So I'm going to go to the offset tool, come up here to the mode section. I want this one right here, which is duplicate and offset mode. That's so the third function there is what I want. Let's select this line. Let's select the offset tool, and let's set it for 3 inches. It must have defaulted back. Okay, and now let's click, 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 and I can just keep going here. You see, you just click on the side where you want the duplicate. Now, we could have done that with using the duplicate array command, but I chose that. Now, I want to show a cut line here, and so I just drew another line. Now, I have this line drawn across here, which is showing me that I have a change, that I'm going from steps that I can see to hidden steps because they're above the plane, that the cutting plane for the plan view, which we all know is roughly somewhere between 4 and 5 feet. So I need to turn these guys into dash lines. Now these lines here are going to be easy to do as dash lines. All I have to do is in my attributes palette, I'm going to come up here. I'm going to go to line type and come in here and select it. It defaulted to the one I wanted, but that's the way you'll do that. Dot line type. And so on and so forth. Okay, so that's how you'll do those. And then these lines here, the way I will do this is I'm going to use the split tool. All right, so let me zoom in on this, and I want to show you a couple of cool kind of things that you can do here. First of all, what I'm going to do is I want to take this line right here, and I want to split it. And I want to split it right there. And it split it right on that line. Now let's do the next one. I'm going to select the line. I'm going to hit the tool. I'm going to go here. And notice it highlighted the diagonal line, and that's why I'm going back and saying I want the previous one. I'm going to come down here. Actually, let me select this line and split. Previous. Okay. And now what I can do is I can take these lines that I've split and I can turn them into dashed lines. Back up here, line type. Split. Line type and line type, and then I can go ahead and just change this to the whole line. And that's how I did that. So you are on your own now. I want you to finish this up and have fun with it. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, I'll see you when we talk about symbols.